One of the most common questions I get for all the reviews I've done in the past are, James, whatever happened to this product you did before? You still using it? Do you still like it? Well, that's why I do these videos. This is my 20th update video. Now what I do here is I take 10 past products in order and let you know if I still use them, if I don't still use them, why I don't still use them, and how they're holding up. So without further delay, let's get right to update number 20. These are groove rings. This is a 191st product review that I did. These are silicone bands that are meant to replace traditional metal rings that go on your fingers. You know, I think that people are kind of divided on the idea behind these. I think some people think that it's a good idea to replace metal rings, especially if you're in a workplace environment that could cause problems. Some people don't want to wear their expensive bands out, so in that case, some people turn to something like this to fit the bill. Now there's other people out there that think, well, you're just wearing an expensive piece of rubber around your finger and you got duped. I tend to fall somewhere in the center, a little bit closer to the expensive piece of rubber around your finger. I did try to use them, I just didn't really find much use for them. Now my friend Kathy from the 2 Cent Chicks reviewed this also. She actually ended up using them for a long time, but she told me after about 4 or 5 months the design started wearing off and she stopped wearing them. So I'll link her video below as well, but I don't know. The comments on my video were very divided, so I have nothing bad to say about them except for they seem expensive for what they are. But here's some clips from my original groove ring review. I took the smallest one and let my son borrow it because he has skinny fingers. That left me with 4. I wanted to see if it would pick up moisture against my skin, and it really hasn't. It smells like a rubber. It doesn't smell like sweat, so I don't smell anything. So to answer that question, I don't smell anything. But what I find weird though is that even though there's other colors on the inside, like you can't really see them. So I don't know what the point of that is, unless you because it's not supposed to be reversible because the grooves are on the inside. Uh-oh, basketball dirt showing up. Are silicone rings a fad or the next generation of rings? This is Night Hero, the 192nd product that I reviewed. This is an As Seen on TV pair of binoculars, and I thought this was terrible. Did not function very well at all. I've only used it a couple times since my review, and I just use them as binoculars. The night vision part, not good at all, but you're kind of paying for that night vision feature that doesn't even really work that well. So to me, the Night Hero was an overpriced As Seen on TV product that did not perform that well. Here's some clips from that original review. Let's see if we can see it here. There it is. That's right, I get a house with a view. I can officially see the stratosphere from here. So I think that it's 10x binoculars. They're really not that bad. With my camera zoomed in, you really can't see it. This is 3x. They're not extraordinary, but not that bad. Do you see that green light? That's what it's using to illuminate the subject in the distance. It's not infrared, you can see it. I don't really see anything. Come on, hang on. That's what the light looks like? What kind of shape is that? What is that shape? That green light is not illuminating anything. If you're looking for a pair of night vision binoculars, you might want to keep looking. This is Fastball, number 193 of the products I reviewed. It's an As Seen on TV phone holder, which the problem with this one, I mean, it worked. The problem with this one though is that you have to attach this magnet to the back of your phone, which adds about 1/4 of an inch in thickness. The magnet was strong. The only problem with that is that when you go to move it a couple times, they do give you an extra adhesive backing, but I end up using both of mine, and now I have to buy a third-party backing if I want to use it again. I literally tried to give this to someone to use, and they gave it back because they didn't like it. So there are some people that will like this because it is a strong magnet. It does hold pretty well, but I think the thickness is kind of a deal breaker for a lot of people. But here's some clips from that original Fastball review. Okay, they describe this as an ultra-thin magnetic backing. I don't think that's really ultra-thin. It's a 1/4 of an inch thick. It feels like a pretty strong magnet. That's pretty good. It does feel pretty secure. That is not ultra-thin. You know, I've used some other phone mounts like this where it's kind of wobbly, falls off. This seems very secure. 18 hours and it stayed held in place. Some people like to use their phones on a flat surface where they can type like this, but if you have the magnetic backing on there, you kind of get that. Cons aside, it works pretty well as a phone mount. This is a Magic Pad, which I did back in December of 18. Now, I haven't used it since my review because I like this so much that my daughter drew a Bailey that I just wanted to keep it. It's also a product for kids, and none of us really have a need for something like this. But I did think it was a really cool product. I've had a lot of feedback from people that bought this that did like it for their kids. So Magic Pad is a good product. It's just not something that anybody in my house had a need for. And I also didn't want to erase that because I liked it so much. But here's some scenes from that original review, which I did down in Puerto Rico. You can use the suction cups to put it on a window or a mirror to trace your own face. You can use one of the templates to play a friendly game. Are you serious? You cannot be serious. I'm done, forget it. Forget this, turn the camera off. Or you can also just sit and enjoy the scenery and make a work of art. Very cool. This is either the yellow or the white light. Look at that, it almost has a neon look to it when it's on the mirror there. Your kid, you draw that, it looks pretty cool, but put the magic backing on there. And then press the button, and there we have something. How cool is that? That looks pretty cool. Another thing to point out is these will stain clothing, so just be careful about that with your kids. If you like what you see in the advertising, I think you'll think it's a pretty good product. My 195th product review were vacuum sealers. Now, I did two of them, an SCN TV Always Fresh and this one, which is by Food Saver, and I concluded that this was by far the superior of the two. And this one I actually still do use, especially for things like avocados that I want to put in the fridge. The only drawback is that you have to buy special bags for it. And they say they're reusable, but do you really want to reuse a bag that had avocado in the fridge for 2 days? Probably not. But it does work well. I've been happy with this one. I haven't used Always Fresh at all since then because this one is superior to that one. But here's some scenes from my original vacuum sealer comparison. And you got to get it right in the right spot, which I'm obviously not. There it goes. Well, I like that you don't have to hold on to it. You can just kind of sit it there. That's kind of a positive on this one. Oh, wow. Way faster, way faster. Much more power in the vacuum. It went way fast, and I didn't have to fumble around to find the right spot. It immediately worked. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to put some ice in these bags, let the ice melt, and see if they leak. Look, I could have already sealed this one that same amount of time, watch. Done. This one's still fumbling around, but I don't see any water coming out. There's no water on the table where they were at. So it looks pretty good. I think both of them actually held up as far as being airtight goes. The Always Fresh looks pretty fresh, I must say. Food Saver, I would say, also held up pretty well. That's what you get when you do a bad job of wrapping it with just regular saran wrap. Oh! Oh, oh, oh. All right, so in conclusion, I think that the Always Fresh did a respectable job, but the Food Saver is the champ in my eyes. Number 196 is Cobra Coil, which is a flexible charge stand, and it's the only one I couldn't find because it got dumped in the boneyard somewhere and I haven't seen it. I just didn't feel like it was great, it was okay. I just found that it's kind of weak, it falls over, and the few times I tried to use it, I didn't really have a lot of luck with it. It was more pain than it was worth. I think if they could figure out a way to make it stronger, it would have been better, but as it is, it's not something I can really recommend. But here's some scenes from that original review. What I'm gonna do is use my Cobra Coil to film a close-up of me correcting their instructions. Period, capital, when you're done. Cords can get lost in the clutter, but so once you do get in place, it doesn't wobble around as much, but it took me quite a few tries to actually get this in the right position. Oh yeah, oh yeah. That lasted, 2 seconds. All right, kind of, sort of. I mean, that's kind of Mickey Mouse looking, isn't it? Oh, come on now. Oh, it's trying to fall over. I don't know, man. I'm not really feeling this as a car mount. All right, so it's been 8 hours and it stayed. The Cobra Coil stayed, so it actually passed that test. Well, it's been about 90 minutes, and so far it's held up pretty well. I think that it took a little bit of work to get the right angle so that it would actually hold it in this position. Once you get the angle, it's pretty good, but getting it there is part of the challenge. So in the end, I'm a little bit conflicted with the Cobra Coil. It seems like sometimes it worked kind of well, sometimes it worked kind of not so well. Number Number 197 was a comparison of LED flame bulbs. Now, I actually have used a couple of these ever since my original video. I like to have them in the lamps around the house, especially around the holidays. But as it got warm, having flame bulbs around the house didn't really seem to fit the mood, so I kind of put them away. I'm going to pull them out again for the holiday season because I kind of like them. It's a cool idea. You know, it's very situational. Not everybody's going to have a use for a simulated flame light bulb, but if you do, I think there's a couple of them that are pretty good choices. But here's some scenes from the original comparison. The Hudson. It does have the upside down effect. Next up is the Lumiere Holic. It's more like an animation where it has, I can see a couple different patterns. It's just cycling between those. It does not have the upside down effect. Omiku. Close up. This must be just the regular flame emulation. General light mode, I'm guessing that one is. Oh, that would be the breathing mode. We're back to the flame mode. Now, does it go upside down? Yes, it does. Last but not least, can't forget the Bell & Howell flame bulb. Okay, it's a bit flickery, more than the others. Upside down mode? No. The Bell & Howell seems to be the yellowest of them all. The Lumiere Holic seems to be the dimmest of them all. It's also much different than the rest of them. It has more of like almost an animated pattern that's going around. The others seem to have more of like a flame flicker. Now, my own personal taste, completely opinion, I actually like the Hudson at first glance. I think that has the most pleasant looking flame, followed closely by the Omiku. Number 198 from December of 18 was the Perslice Cake Slicer. This is one of those things that I'm not really sure even needed to be invented because I don't feel like it offers anything over a good knife. Now, supposedly you're able to cut uniform slices because you cut it on both sides, but it just seemed a little bit messy. It just seems like a really large utensil you don't really need. I've had several cakes in my house since this video. Not once did I ever say, oh, let me go grab the Perslice to cut it up. I grabbed a chef's knife, whack, whack, whack. It was done. So I'm not really a big fan of it, but here's some scenes from my original Perslice video. And here we go. Pull this lever back and the spatula comes out. That's a pretty clean cut. Voila. I definitely don't feel like as I get towards the end of the cake that they're all the same as when they started. I don't know about this. This last piece is going to be puny. I started right here and went around, and look at the size of the small piece that I ended with compared to the larger. Not terrible, but perfect slice every time? I don't think so. And we also lost a little bit on each piece in the middle. That's why there's an opening there. I don't think this is something I'm going to be using very often. I can see some people in some situations might need it, but I think most people in most situations won't. These are a couple of lint removers, an As Seen on TV and one from the 60s, and I reviewed several lint removers for number 199. The Hurricane Fur Wizard is still the lint remover that I use the most. The only problem I've had with this one, I've noticed that when you go to clean it, if you get it wet, you really got to dry it out well. Just leaving it out to set to dry, it kind of had a pretty bad odor, and that was kind of hard to get out. Other than that, it's functioned well for the couple of years that I've had it. I had a couple others that were decent, some not so good, but check out some scenes from my original lint remover comparison. I'm gonna play with Bailey for a little bit, pick up a bunch of hair, and then go to the first test.
Yes, she's a good girl.
All right, that's shirt number 1. That's pretty bad. All right, first up we got the Laundry Essentials Lint Brush. It's very cheaply made. This is very cheap plastic. Oh wow, it looks like it's even pushing through. Look how cheap that is. Look at this. Very cheap. I don't know about, I think this one's going to be a big no. Shirt number 2, Laundry Essentials Extra Sticky Lint Roller, also ideal for pet hair. It definitely seems to be working faster. You know, some people say that Bailey is the star of the show. Well, I can carry Bailey just as much as she can carry me. Next up we have the older As Seen on TV Sticky Buddy, which is reusable. You're supposed to just pick up your pet hair, rinse it off, and keep going. Hey, I gotta say, these first 2 swipes are pretty impressive. And they're getting less impressive as I go. Well, the hair's coming off, so that's good. Next up, it is the Hurricane Fur Wizard. I would say the Sticky Buddy actually worked faster. A couple passes and most of the hair was gone. This takes some more passes, but you don't have to stop and wash it off, so it's kind of a trade-off. And for the final test, it is the decades-old Swank made in West Germany. I believe that's what this is saying. Wow, that actually works pretty well. Yeah. For right now, I'm sticking with it. I'm going with the Hurricane Fur Wizard. Number 200 was a comparison of 4 dash cams. Let's go to the car, I'll tell you more about it. This is the Vantrue dash cam, one of 4 that I reviewed, and the one that I picked as the best one. Now you can see the picture, both front and back, are pretty clear. I'm still using it, I'm still happy with it, I've had no major issues. This is definitely one I would recommend. There were some other good ones in that comparison as well. Some other ones not so good. But here's some scenes from my original 4-way dash cam comparison. We're gonna do the Vantrue audio and video. So this is the Vantrue audio. How does my green striped shirt look on the rear camera? How does that look? Except we're gonna go to the M16. How does that look from the front camera right now? Now for the rear camera on the M16. Audio for the HD mirror cam. See how that sounds as well. Next up, the Garmin. Now I'm going to use the audio from my digital recorder on the Garmin because the Garmin audio is so quiet that it's hard to hear. All right, here we go. This is all 4 of them together. Which picture looks best? Which picture looks best to you guys? Now I'm going to just compare the 2 rear cameras from the Vantrue and the M16. How do I look on these 2? All right, so in the end, my pick for the best one obviously is the Vantrue. Now, even though there is a slight blue tint to the Vantrue, I don't think it affects the clarity. It's the easiest to move once it's been mounted. It has the highest capacity SD card. I just think that this is the top pick. So that's it for number 191 through 200. As always, some were hits, some were misses, and the rest were kind of somewhere in between. I would say of that bunch, the ones that I use the most are the dash cam, the Hurricane Fur Wizard, and probably the Food Sealer. A couple of them I haven't used since then. So that's it, guys. If you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.